Today we've got a great malicious compliance story of overdressing for work. We'll get into that in a bit, but first, some like it hot. A long time ago in what seems like a different life, I was working in a burrito restaurant on the weekend late shift. Simpler times. During a quiet period, we had a gay couple come in to order. They were very nice and respectful with a good bit of banter thrown in. While we're serving them, another person enters and I'm immediately on high alert. This guy looks like a classic Ned. To those from the west coast of Scotland, this stands for non-educated delinquent. Think a Karen but more prone to violence than manager asking. Immediately, this guy starts with a homophobic abuse towards the nice couple who are nearly finished serving, interspersed with some mild nonsense aimed at us. He is quickly told to knock it off and is clearly a little upset at this. The abuse drops to a trickle. But still there and still an unpleasant individual, the nice couple leaves and we're deciding whether to serve this clown or bounce him. Context: I was a collision sport athlete in excellent shape. He wanted absolutely no part of me. But before we decide, he moves on to stage 2 of the Ned playbook, bragging. I don't feel spice. Nothing can hurt me. Give me the spiciest thing you have, etc. Well now, we used ghost chilies for our extra hot salsa, so we loaded up a burrito with loads of the stuff. But of course, this was not enough for our dear Ned friend. No, because nothing can hurt him. We're obviously not understanding this. Little did he know I'd whipped up a special batch of staff-only extra hot salsa with about 3 times the amount of ghost chilies in it. So we tell him about this, and of course, it has to go in his burrito, despite our warnings against this. Have we not been listening? He doesn't feel pain, so in goes a generous portion of this nuclear salsa. I know you're thinking we're done here, but no. Our dear friend really doesn't think we've understood how little spice affects him. He needs more. Crop a ghost chili into it. We gave him every opportunity to walk back from this demand, but no. He needs pure ghost chili. I bring one up from our store cupboard and chop a little into his burrito. But haven't I been listening? He needs the whole thing. I end up chopping about 3/4 of the thing into it. I'm looking at this insane burrito, worried I might burn a hole in his stomach, but also slightly excited to see this dose of instant karma. But still, the bragging hasn't stopped. He won't need a drink. It'll be the mildest thing he's ever eaten. I'm sure you can imagine the rest of his nonsense. He takes the first bite into his burrito and is happily chewing through it. Clearly delighted that he was right about the spice level, he's just into his second mouthful when his face changes to concern, followed by surprise and then utter panic. He's backed himself into a corner and there's no way to win. Tears are streaming down his face at this point, and he very embarrassedly asked for a drink. But of course, Fanta only makes the spice worse. It's now he fully realizes the magnitude of the error he's made. This fire will not go out. He's going to need our genuine help to get through this. He is immediately apologizing humbly and asks if there's something we can do to help. We bring him a large glass of milk so he can at least survive and head off into the night with his tail between his legs. In an unexpected turn, he continues eating the burrito from heck while sipping the milk and somehow manages to finish the whole thing. Still with tears pouring down himself, he thanks us, apologizes again, gets a milk reload, and leaves for greener pastures. Despite his unpleasantness, I have to give him props for finishing that burrito. He was not in a good way the entire time, and it was as fitting a punishment as I could have hoped for. At least that guy managed to get out of there all right, and honestly, more power to them for continuing to eat that burrito with 3/4 of a ghost pepper in it. I have to say though, what's he gonna do when it comes out the other end? All 3/4 of that ghost pepper and all the sauce. You want to talk about misery, just give it a bit. Also, hi, I'm Steven, and if you guys enjoy awesome stories of malicious compliance, why not hit those like and subscribe buttons down below? That said, our next story is, you want me to move seats? Okay. I, 21-year-old female, was born with a malformation of my inner ear. On top of making my right ear stick out like it's an elephant's, it also causes me to have balancing issues. To prevent me from toppling over, I use a cane for support and balance. Yesterday, I was taking a train back to my university city. I always get the closest seats to the door, since if the train starts and I'm standing, the chances of me losing my balance and falling over are high. Unfortunately, speaking from experience, these seats usually have an indication of priority for people with moving impairments, and this train was no different. I got on and sat down with my headphones in. Not a minute goes by when I'm startled by a tap on my shoulder. I pulled my headphones out and looked up to see an older-looking man. The first thing he said was, "You need to move," whilst pointing to the priority seating sign. I was flustered and was only able to stutter, but I do, before he went away, mumbling about not having time for this. I thought that would be the end of it. I was wrong. A minute later, the man came back with a train attendant. He just pointed at me going, "Tell her to give me the seat, I have priority," and some other ramblings I don't remember. The attendant wasn't mean or anything. She just said, "Ma'am, this is priority seating. Would you please give your seat to this gentleman?" I wasn't even trying to do a cue malicious compliance moment. I am just terrified of confrontation and would rather risk wobbling away to another seat even though the train was already moving. I have one of those metallic folding canes, so I unfolded it and leaned on it to get up. Before I can leave, the attendant just starts waving me to sit back down. "Oh, no, it's okay, ma'am. Just stay in your seat." The old man didn't say anything. He just looked annoyed, like he didn't understand why he couldn't have my seat. The attendant led him away to find you another seat, while the guy grumbled something. I just sat there and enjoyed my faceplant-free train ride while drawing and listening to music. Never saw the old guy again, but the attendant smiled at me whenever she passed by. Thanks for reading. Honestly, I feel like what OP did was better than trying to explain that you have a disability. Unfortunately for OP, their disability is pretty rare and a lot of people probably may not choose to believe it. OP pulling that cane out and demonstrating, "Hey, I have to lean on this thing and rely on it," that's all the demonstration you possibly could need to give them. This guy was also just pretty darn entitled. I mean, he seemed like he didn't have too much trouble getting around. Our next story is, "Boss can't hire with crappy wages, so demotes me instead." Okay, but it'll cost you 1 million British pounds. A few years ago, I worked at a janky 2-bit company. The boss thought he was Billy Big Bollocks and God's gift simultaneously. He had such a big head, I'm surprised he could get through doorways. He used to drink beer at his desk for lunch and would often arrive at work late. He was also an insufferable muscle bro and walked around as if carrying rolls of carpet under each arm. Jerk. A few months into my time there, the company starts winning large orders, so he asks me to set up a small-scale production line to increase capacity and tells me the new hire will be situated there. I design it, set it up, test it all works, and I'm feeling a sense of pride with what I've accomplished. It worked like a dream. I was confident it would work really well for the new hire. Because I'm an engineer by trade, everything was perfect, and only I knew how to fix the broken crap. Nobody else asked how it worked before making some very detrimental decisions. A while later, there was an issue. He couldn't hire anyone willing to accept such a crappy wage and boring work. So Billy Big Bollocks had the bright idea to demote me and make me governor of my creation. No way, not for 9,000 pounds less. I immediately started job hunting, and I told him if that's your final offer, regard tomorrow as my final day. He panics that he's committed the company to a £1 million order due for shipping in 3 days' time. During his alcohol-fueled panic, he tells me to write up highly detailed technical manuals and processes for my replacement. The production line included some precise handwork. Buzz off, I can't do that in 1 day. He also didn't specify what they should contain, and considering I had no help from him with this project, just complaints, I thought, freak it. So sure, he got his manuals. I created Word documents with convincing titles like Technical Manual, Product Version 2.0, and How to Do This Precise Task. Inside the documents were, for example, the surprised Pikachu face, and bubbles from Trailer Park Boys looking lost. Then below, just one line of text reading, "This manual contains all the information I could find or was given." The file sizes would also indicate a lot of text was contained within thanks to the images. Therefore, at face value, they looked legitimate. I saved them to my laptop in an equally legitimate-looking folder that afternoon. Early the next morning, I came to work to collect my belongings and do some handovers, and found the laptop had vanished. I said my goodbyes to my colleagues and looked over to see him looking incensed with a beer in one hand. He was so angry, he didn't look up from his desk. A friend told me later that the company had missed the production deadline despite him working 12-hour days to try to catch up. Apparently, the client was extremely freaked off. Don't screw over good people. Jerk. I love that OP essentially wrote, I'm not paid enough to acquire or write any of the documentation this document is asking for, but just in the least direct way possible. And I'll tell you what, I can't blame them. Our next story is, want a list of all my tasks? Okay. I created this account, will be a throwaway, just for this, as I saw an old file that brought back some unpleasant memories. Backstory: I'm a support person working with engineers for very specialized, very large documents. I've got a wide range of skills that one person normally wouldn't have. I also design the process, format, and everything except content for this one massive 10,000 pages document spread over hundreds of interconnected files using a specialized software, and trained my team on software and processes for the basically weekly submittals to various entities with the changes. I was the subject matter expert, though not as acknowledged as such, because it's just support, not engineering. Let's be honest, some older engineers saw me as a secretary because of a lack of Y chromosome combined with my lack of engineering degree. Back in 2011, a person was added to my group. I felt just to stress me out. Lucy wasn't a manager, but she had authority to assign me tasks. I think she was efficiency expert or something. She really stressed me out. Always pulling me into her office to discuss stuff, and I'd have to speak in plain English about the software I use and program. Nothing fancy as I'm self-taught, more Visual Basic for applications versus C++, but a normal person wouldn't understand a lot of what I did, so the extra effort to explain stuff was annoying, and she constantly talked down to me, like an elementary school teacher. You know that voice? It may have been because I looked young. One day I even had to say, "You know I'm in my 30s and I've worked here for over 10 years, right?" Because she mentioned something about when I was young like you and was trying to advise me on my new career. She made my life miserable while being fake nice. On to the malicious compliance. One week, Lucy assigned me to track every single task I did in my week. She wanted all 40 hours accounted for. I tried to push back, but no dice. So I did. Did I mention I had 2 computers? One I used for specific tasks, basically macros for a specific software. The list had things like meeting with Lucy and Janice, 2.5 hours. A variety of rows for saying I answered this question or taught people stuff, most under an hour. And of course, detailed technical steps that she wouldn't understand as she doesn't know the various specialized software, 4 to 7 hours each. Coup de grace? Make this list, an hour and a half. All in all, I squeezed 55.9 hours into that 40-hour week, which, looking at the list, was a pretty average week. I sent her the list and said, "I guess I'm even more efficient than I thought." No response. She disappeared shortly after that. Maybe someone threw water on her. Never did learn why she was there, or if I did, I blinked it out. I wondered if they were trying to replace me, but I was/am, unfortunately, irreplaceable. I'm still here, and she's not. Unfortunately, the office water cooler malfunctioned and we didn't find out until after the janitor's shift. So unfortunately, she was mopped up and rinsed down the drain. I love OP's subtle witch jab. Our next story is, I overdressed for work. I, 24-year-old female, work in a high-end store and we have a very specific dress code. No jeans unless it's black, no leggings, no skirts above the knee, no spaghetti straps, no low-cut shirts, etc. I wore a black tank top with a brown knitted turtleneck, black jeans, black shoes, and black socks. My hair was in a nice bun as well. I wore this many times before and had no issues with it until the other day. I got pulled to the back by the ASM, assistant manager, and she told me that I need to dress better and look less homeless. The manager, being right beside her, said nothing, and when I tried to ask what she meant, the manager told me to listen to her. That night I went online and found everything I needed. The next day I went all around the local mall and shopped until I couldn't shop anymore. I got a blue dress, $20, white gloves, $5, fake pearl necklace and bracelet, $15, and I went to the drugstore to get bobby pins. I spent that night doing my hair until it was perfect. I ironed my dress, I cleaned and polished the pearls, and I practiced light makeup. Everything was perfect and ready. I woke up at 5:30 a.m. to be at work by 9. I did my hair, my makeup, my nails, and I got dressed. I took one final look in the mirror, and I was smiling like no tomorrow. I walked into work to see my manager and assistant manager angry at me while I'm smiling. I got instantly pulled into the back and they yelled at me. All I had to say was, "I don't look homeless now, do I?" I walked out and customers only wanted to talk to me because I looked fancy. It was a good day. I didn't take any pictures of myself because I forgot. I was too excited. But for reference, look up beehive hair and Audrey Hepburn, the little black dress. Thank you. OP didn't just get dressed up, they got 1940s dolled up dressed up. Honestly, somebody walks into my store to work like that, as long as they can do their job, I'm gonna be like, you know what? It's not like this is going to hurt business and it's not like it's inappropriate, right? I love the effort. But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. Now, if you want to hear another awesome malicious compliance story, check out that video on the left. Or if you missed my latest video, check out that video on the right. That said, I'll see you all next time with some more stories.